Let's talk about a year that keeps showing up in every global plan, every strategic blueprint, and every high-level summit. The year 2030. But before we talk about that date, we need to go back to where the real countdown began. And no, it wasn't with climate pledges or digital transformation. It started with a warning, a military one. In 2015, the U.S. Air Force published a document titled An Evaluation of the Impact of Rapid Geomagnetic Pole Movement on Military Operations. It was approved for public release. In this report, they warned that the Earth's magnetic field was drifting faster than anticipated. The magnetic North Pole was accelerating towards the 45-degree magnetic latitude, a region that many geophysicists associate with instability and the potential for magnetic reversal. But even before 2015, small signals were already appearing. Airport runways were being renamed due to magnetic drift. Compasses began behaving erratically in certain regions. The Arctic ice shifted in ways that defied conventional climate models. Behind the scenes, institutions were watching, calculating, and adjusting, but rarely informing the public. This wasn't speculation, it was operational concern. The report highlighted the potential disruption to navigation systems, satellite communications, missile guidance, and increasing radiation exposure at high altitudes. It was clear, drifting magnetic poles could compromise global defense systems, and the world needed to monitor the situation closely. Fast forward to today. It's now 2025. The magnetic North Pole is less than 240 kilometers away from the 45-degree mark. With a drift speed of about 55 kilometers per year, that puts us roughly 4 years away from reaching the threshold. If the speed holds steady, that means 2029. If it accelerates further, we're looking at 2027. These dates are not predictions. They are projections based on real-time data. And yet, since that military paper in 2015, there's been almost complete silence. No public updates, no global alerts, no action plans handed out to civilians. Either the follow-up studies were classified, or they were never done at all, or maybe the funding was quietly redirected elsewhere, perhaps to deep underground bunkers, because when Earth's magnetic shield starts to weaken, those in power aren't going to fight over answers. They're going to find shelter. It's not the first time military foresight was buried under bureaucracy or silenced by strategic interest. But when the warnings stop and the consequences remain, the silence becomes even more deafening. Let's come back to the present. We're being told to prepare for 2030. Every shadow script is set to that year. Climate deadlines, sustainable development goals, digital ID programs, food systems, energy grids, every direction leads to 2030. But no one's asking why that year. Why not 2028? Why not 2032? Why the obsession with 2030? Because 2030 isn't a starting point, it's a finish line. It's the deadline for getting everything in place before something bigger happens. The United Nations Agenda 2030, the World Economic Forum's digital transformation timelines, the central bank's global financial reforms, all of it converges on that 1 year. Coincidence or coordination? When the entire infrastructure of the modern world is being restructured to meet a single deadline, we need to ask, is this about progress or survival? Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Also in 2015, the United Nations adopted the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. The time span, 2015 to 2030. The goal? To make countries more resilient to disasters. The language sounds noble: preparedness, resilience, early warning systems. But take that document and place it next to the magnetic pole drift data. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like general disaster planning. It feels like targeted preparation. The framework pushed nations to develop nationwide risk maps, simulation exercises, public education campaigns, and emergency alert protocols. While that may seem like standard policy, when viewed in tandem with classified space weather reports and the growing body of magnetic instability data, it becomes something else, a quiet admission that something is coming. Why would the military, Space agencies and international institutions all align their timelines around the same window. And why is the year 2030 embedded in every global initiative? The magnetic field is not just a compass tool, it's Earth's shield. And when it weakens, Earth responds. Volcanoes, both surface and underwater, begin to stir from subtle pressure changes. Earthquakes become more erratic. The jet stream weakens, leading to extreme temperature shifts. The oceans churn unnaturally, triggering chaotic tides and flash flooding. Lightning strikes grow in frequency and intensity. The atmosphere holds more energy, yet becomes less predictable. Auroras begin appearing in places they shouldn't. And above all, the skies start to speak in plasma. Tornadoes emerge outside their traditional zones. Drought and deluge swap places with no warning. Entire regions that were once stable become unfamiliar and volatile. Permafrost thaws, releasing ancient pathogens and destabilizing the very ground we walk on. Crops fail under strange seasonal patterns. Marine life gets displaced or disappears completely. And as pressure builds deep within Earth's mantle, we may see megaquakes and volcanic eruptions not witnessed in modern times. Some may come from fault lines that haven't moved in centuries. Others may emerge from the ocean floor without warning. These are not isolated events. They are part of a system-wide rebalancing, a chaotic effort by Earth to respond to electromagnetic disorientation. Our ancestors left stories of such times in stone and myth, in ruins buried beneath ash and sea. And still, we are told it's just climate change. But the signs go deeper. The Earth is showing symptoms of something bigger, a stress event from within. And as that shield above our heads continues to weaken, the planet below begins to fight for balance. Every ancient reset of Earth began with instability. We are witnessing the early signals. It's not just the Earth that reacts. We do too. The human body evolved under a protective magnetic field. But as that shield fades, we begin to experience strange biological effects. Effects we can't always explain. Radiation from space begins to increase, penetrating deeper into the atmosphere. More cosmic rays, more charged particles, more biological stress. People start to feel it. Sleep disorders, immune disruptions, sudden inflammation, mood instability, brain fog. These aren't just modern lifestyle problems. They could be signs of an electromagnetic environment in decline. DNA becomes more vulnerable. Cellular repair slows. The body loses its sense of orientation and timing. And while medicine may blame it on stress, poor diet, or age, the real culprit may be above our heads, not inside our plates. The risk of certain cancers rises as radiation exposure damages cells and mutates genetic material. Our skin, brain, and internal organs aren't built for unfiltered space radiation. Mental health takes a hit too. Fluctuations in electromagnetic fields can disrupt brainwave patterns, leading to spikes in anxiety, depression, and neurological confusion. When Earth's rhythm changes, so does ours. And in a world where even the invisible is shifting, our health may be the first casualty. While the rest of us debated climate, policy, and politics, something else was happening beneath our feet. Certain circles and elites were preparing, quietly, privately, without a whisper to the public. Underground bunkers, seed vaults, relocation programs for critical personnel, emergency protocols for grid failure, satellite blackout, and geomagnetic disruption. They knew. They ran the simulations. They built backup systems beneath mountains and inside Arctic vaults. They didn't share the data. They just disappeared from the headlines. The signs are everywhere. Why move major data centers into the Arctic? Why buy decommissioned missile silos and convert them into luxury shelters? Why the sudden boom in deep Earth architecture? Because while most of us are still guessing what's coming, they were planning how to survive it. If the tipping point is somewhere between 2027 and 2029, then 2030 isn't the goal. It's the aftermath. The world we have to live in after the change. So let me ask you again, how many people are truly ready for 2030? Not just with digital tools and smart apps, not just with savings in the bank, but physically, mentally, spiritually prepared for a world where Earth's magnetic shield is weakened, where radiation increases, where the weather turns more violent, where volcanic and seismic activity rise, where compasses go rogue and bodies start to feel the strain of electromagnetic exposure. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Awareness that we're living in a time where space, Earth, and biology are interacting in unpredictable ways. Because while they've been preparing quietly for the last 10 years, most of the world is still scrolling, still entertained, still convinced that business as usual will carry them through. So now we must ask, what do they know that made them prepare in silence? While we're still trying to figure out what 2030 really means.